Hello and welcome back to the channel for my weekly watches, what I watched last week. Every week I have the intention of trying to get through this as quick as possible, and I always talk too much, so let's see what we can do this week. I think I watched about 8 or 9 movies in the past week. Dobby is going to come and join me. It's like she knows when I press play or press record. There she is. And she's tired. Bless her, you're tired, doggy. So we started the week on the 23rd of January with a movie that has been recommended to me a lot. The subject matter just never really particularly interested me, but after hearing someone speak about it again recently, I finally watched The Founder, which is about basically where McDonald's came from. It's not a documentary, it's a movie. So this stars Michael Keaton, the true story of how Ray Kroc, a salesman from Illinois, met Mac and Dick McDonald, who were running a burger operation in 1950s Southern California. Kroc was impressed by the brothers' speedy system of making the food and saw himself a franchise potential. He maneuvered himself into a position to be able to pull the company from the brothers and create a billion-dollar empire. And as we know, McDonald's went on to become probably the most successful fast food establishment in the world, not just in America. So basically this is the story about a salesman that had been working away for many years trying to make his fortune. He managed, him and his wife lived in a nice enough house, but when he saw this operation with these brothers, he was like hooked. He was fixated. It damaged his marriage. He was just so obsessed on this situation, the McDonald's brothers. And this is pretty much nail on the head. I think I did read that the relationship between them is not quite as frosty as it would insinuate in the movie. I think they did sort of kind of let bygones be bygones many years after. But yeah, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Very well acted, very well done. I couldn't fault the performances. It really felt like you were back in the 50s. Everything was spot on. It wasn't a subject matter, like I said before I even watched it, that I am particularly interested in, which you'd be surprised at. It's food, but I'm not a McDonald's fan. I prefer a Burger King, has to be said. But yeah, The Founder, 3.5 out of 5. On the 24th, we had this, Lisa, you need to watch these movies. People keep telling you. I watched Your Name. Now, I know this is a massive favourite among quite a few people I know, including Mike from Did I See That? Did You See That? Sean from Lost in the Reel. So this is obviously a Japanese animation movie. It says, high schoolers Mitsuha and Taki are complete strangers living separate lives. But one night they suddenly switch places. Mitsuha, I apologise if I'm saying that wrong. I maybe don't think you pronounce the A on the end. It's maybe Mitsu. Wakes up in Taki's body and he in hers. This bizarre occurrence continues to happen randomly and the two must adjust their lives around each other. So it's kind of a weird Freaky Friday, I suppose. They keep just popping up in each other's bodies. They have to live each other's lives. They maybe do things and make changes that are beneficial for the other, or maybe not so much. And in the process of this switching, they unknowingly begin to develop feelings for one another without even realising it. This is an absolutely beautiful movie. I have had people tell me multiple times to watch this. I've just never got around to it. I would massively recommend this. The two that was always recommended to me as someone that really needs to dip their toe in anime was Spirited Away and this one. And I have to say, far and away I prefer this. I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So that is Your Name. Okay, so the next one is a documentary. Probably won't be up a lot of people's streets. This is Dachau Death Camp. Interviews with those who were there, their families, a unique insight into the Nazis' first concentration camp. So this is, as it seems, obviously with us approaching Holocaust Memorial Day, I did watch this one. I think it's either on Netflix or Prime. I think it's on Netflix. Now, the Holocaust just completely, it's horrendous. It's horrible. I always find myself getting really upset when I watch anything about it and read anything into the background. I always go back to the title of an essay we were given in English literature in school, and the title we were given and we had to write an essay around it was Man's Inhumanity to Man Makes Countless Thousands Mourn. And that was the title, and we had to write a story around that. And every time I hear that title, all I can think about is the Holocaust. and how man treated man. I really struggled to get my head around how it wasn't just Hitler and his henchmen. This was normal men that were doing this, normal women that were turning a blind eye and pretending that they didn't know. So this does have a lot of footage in from the concentration camps that are extremely upsetting. It has, you'll have seen before, a lot of footage of dead bodies, of painfully thin individuals in the camps. This documentary is not one I would recommend if you want to know more about the Holocaust and what happened. It was very poorly put together. It was very amateurish. I find it actually quite offensive that they didn't pronounce the name of the actual concentration camp correctly. And I'm sure every single person with any knowledge of the Holocaust knows the phrase Arbeitsmacht frei, which is very famously above the entrance to the most famous concentration camp. These guys couldn't pronounce. Now, okay, I did study German at school, but if I'm going to talk about something with this level of gravity, I want to make sure I'm going to pronounce the thing correctly. And the fact that they couldn't do that right just told me all I needed to know. I gave it 1 out of 5. They had some footage in there that was obviously real, very upsetting footage, and it's something that I feel we need to know, we need to see, our children needs to see. This needs to stop. This needs to not happen again. And all over the world we are having situations that are similar to this, that are not as widely publicised. Our future generations need to be educated to prevent this kind of thing happening. Lisa's off her soapbox. Okay, so next on the list is a rewatch of The Banshees of Inisherin. As you probably know if you watch my channel, I saw this when it first came out of the cinema. I went into it knowing absolutely nothing other than 2 friends, one fell out with the other. That's all I knew. I was expecting, because it was marketed as a black comedy or a dark comedy, to be along a similar vein to In Bruges or Seven Psychopaths, both of which I enjoy. But if you've seen this movie, it's a lot more bleak and depressing than that. And when it came out, I've talked a lot about how movies make me feel being important. And I just felt really, I don't know, bereft. I felt really just down coming out of this movie, and it's not how I thought I would feel. So I think it was a bit of a shock to the old psyche. But I did know that the performances were excellent. It was beautifully shot. So I thought, right, you can hear tippy tapping. It's Dolby walking about. I watched it again a few nights ago, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I did first time. My rating's gone up to 4 out of 5. I do admit it's beautifully shot. The acting is fantastic. Barry, I need to work out how to pronounce his surname. Keegan. I'm going to say it's Keegan. And I'm Irish and I can't pronounce it. That's a disgrace. I should have looked it up. His performance in this for me is the starring performance. I will be aghast if he doesn't get a Best Supporting Actor for this one. My dad will love this. It's just his cup of tea. It's exactly his kind of movie. It will really appeal to some people. It was very, I think it was very spot on with regards to men at that time on a small island in life and how they would be, like down the pub with their fiddles having a session, as they call it. I lost a lot of the imagery, or a lot of the symbolism the first time. The dogs. I've just had a tiny piece of shortcake, and that's what she's sniffing. She's a greedy dog with a greedy master. Yes. Now she's doing her meerkat. She's sitting, which you can't see, but she's sitting on her bum with her paws like this. So, and that's nothing to do with the Banshees of Inisherin. I missed the symbolism the first time. This is set on an island, and on the mainland Ireland the Civil War's going on, which, if you don't know, is where family members, neighbours fought against one another on different sides of the political divide in Ireland. And this was, I suppose, this relationship between these 2 lifelong friends suddenly coming to an end, I suppose, was kind of trying to symbolise that. And we do sort of try and symbolise mental health and the fact that now the dog's hacking its guts up the other one. Honestly. And when I'm trying to make a serious point about mental health and Molly's having a good cough. Yeah, the fact that it's kind of known that men of a certain age don't really like to talk about how they feel, especially back in this time. My dad would be, he's obviously not as old as this, but he would be from that generation, and he's very much a very stoic, would not talk about his feelings. So that really sort of struck a chord as well. So in conclusion, I did really enjoy it. The second time around I liked it more than the first, but it's still, I find it intensely bleak and depressing as a movie. It is a very well made movie. So that's the Banshees of Inisherin. So on the same evening, I must have been in a right depressing mood this day, I watched a documentary called The Freeway Killer, Lost Murder Tapes. This is on Discovery Plus. In 1970s California, a serial killer dumps young boys' bodies along the freeway. In LA, an LA street reporter on the case receives information that embroils him in the dilemma of a lifetime. Decades later, lost confession tapes help experts uncover the truth. So this is what it sounds like. This is a true crime documentary. It's not a series, it's in one part. I think it's about an hour and a half long. It was really well done, really interesting, and it covers the Freeway Killer. Obviously it has some very upsetting subject matter. As with all American documentaries, any images are blurred, so if you're worried about seeing really horrible things, everything is blurred in it, but it was a decent quality documentary. I give that a 3.5 out of 5. The following evening, I watched The Quiet Girl. Now, I was kind of curious about this because this is the first Irish language film I've ever watched, and there has been a bit of talk about this around potentially maybe getting some awards. I knew nothing about it, absolutely nothing. It's showing over here. I want to see it. So The Quiet Girl, An Cailín Cuain. I can actually pronounce a little bit of Irish, believe it or not, because my son's now doing it in school. We are forced over here to learn Irish, and it's hard. It's a really difficult language to learn. I got the opportunity when I went into second year in high school of either keeping Irish or taking German and dropping Irish. I went the German route. Unfortunately for my son, I don't think he gets the option until third year. And he wants to drop it the minute he gets a chance. He's not very patriotic, neither was I. But it's a hard language. Anyway, that's besides the point. The Quiet Girl. So a quiet, neglected girl is sent away from her dysfunctional family to live with relatives for the summer. She blossoms in their care, but in this house where there are meant to be no secrets, she discovers one. Now, that's not as horrible as it sounds. It's just normal family stuff. This is a very slow movie. It's very simply about this little girl going from, she's in a household with quite a few siblings. Her dad is not a very nice person. Her mum she's just got so many kids. It's this like Irish thing of having loads of kids. And she doesn't have time for her. She is neglected. She's not given any attention. She goes to stay with, I think it's the mother's cousins, and a really nice couple who work on a farm, and she loves it there. She's helping with the animals, she's helping clean out. She really forms a really nice relationship with both the husband and wife. And basically, when the summer ends, she needs to go back to her family. Her mother has just had a son, has just had a new baby in the house, so even more kids. And it's just that little snapshot into her life in rural Ireland, couple of months, and how she changes the household that she's in. It's a beautiful movie. It's really nicely filmed. It is very slow. As I said, it's all in Irish. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because I know a lot of people would be like, what's the point of this? Nothing's happening. But if you want to watch a beautiful movie, just a little snippet in time in someone's life, to get an idea about how life would be in Ireland, it's very spot on. It's set, I think, in 1981. Everything looks really 70s, which I love because I love 70s stuff. You know, the disgusting carpets that you get in hotels and stuff? I like all that stuff. So, yeah, I would recommend The Quiet Girl. I gave that one a 4 out of 5. Can you hear Dobby making noises? Are you stopped now that I've drawn attention to it? You're not going to do it again? No, she's not going to do it again. The next evening I watched a movie that a few people have spoken about, Bug. I first was kind of brought to knowledge about this when watching a stream between Rainbow Fright and Geeky Hijinks. I'll just give you the synopsis. Paranoia is contagious. In Oklahoma, Agnes, a lonely waitress living in an isolated and dilapidated roadside motel, meets Peter, a quiet and mysterious man with whom she establishes a peculiar relationship. So this is Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon for most of this movie. We have a little bit of Harry Connick Jr., a few other names there, Lynn Collins, but they're not in it very much. It's mainly these two. They meet. Harry Connick Jr. is actually Judd's ex. He's just got out of prison, so he makes a couple of appearances, but he doesn't have a massive part in it. Michael Shannon just is this quiet, sort of very sort of stoic, strong individual that we don't know an awful lot about. But as the movie goes on, we kind of uncover severe paranoia that he has about bugs, insects, and also things being bugged, and people listening to him, people looking for him. We don't know as we're watching this if, sorry, I'm eating a hair. We don't know if he's got a point, if he is being followed, if what he's saying is true, or if it's just an extreme form of paranoia, and you have to follow that movie through to get to the conclusion. I give this one a 3 out of 5. I did enjoy it. I really enjoy Michael Shannon in horrible roles. Most things I've seen him in, he's a horrible individual and he plays it fantastically well, and this is no exception. I'm not saying he's horrible in it, but he is a little bit unhinged in places in this movie as it reaches a conclusion. So yeah, I would recommend it. I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever seen. There are a couple of little bits in it where the acting is a little bit almost Nicolas Cage, the bees. Not quite to that degree, but not far off it. But I did enjoy it. That's a 2006 movie called Bug. Okay, we've got 2 left. So I watched both of these yesterday. So first off is The Fablements. Now, I was quite interested to see this with it. This is like loosely based, well, it's actually very closely based on Steven Spielberg's life as a child and what made him want to be a filmmaker, his inspiration, his family, his parents' marriage, all that kind of thing. Relationships at school with different people. I had heard very conflicting views on this. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5. So, a coming-of-age story about a young man's discovery of a shattering family secret and an exploration of the power of movies to help us see the truth about each other and ourselves. So it is what it says it is. Michelle Williams is fantastic in this as Steven Spielberg's mum, Paul Dano as his dad, Seth Rogen's in this, which sounds a bit weird. There's nothing funny about it, but he's in there. Very well made, very well acted. Again, it's like a snippet into his life, his high school, moving house, trying to settle in a new area. They're the only Jewish family. It's not going to completely earth shatter for me. It's just, I don't know, I can understand people sitting down and watching this and saying this is absolutely amazing, I absolutely loved it, it's fantastic, because it is really good. I just enjoyed it. It reminded me a bit of like a really long episode of The Wonder Years, but without the narration, which I love a bit of narration. So I liked it, yes. I will say it's very well made, but I can't even say it. I did enjoy it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just don't think I enjoyed it as much as a lot of people did. I wouldn't say it's award-winning. So 29th, same day, last night, I watched There's Something Wrong with the Children. So I've been hearing really bad reports about this one. This is a new horror. Margaret and Ben take a weekend trip with their longtime friends Ellie and Thomas and their 2 young children. Eventually, Ben begins to suspect something supernatural is occurring when the kids behave strangely after disappearing into the woods overnight. This is a very straightforward horror movie. 2 couples, 2 kids, that's it. Kids behaving a bit weird, a bit creepy, a bit evil. We've seen it all before. I didn't think this was as bad as everyone else. I thought this was perfectly fine. A really easy to watch hour-and-a-half movie. There are little bits where I find kids in movies annoying anyway. We've heard this with Megan. But the kids were really annoying. Maybe it's just me. The acting by the adults was all really good. The woman that was in Raising Dion's in this, Dion's mum, and I really like her. I think she's a very believable actress. And I've got several names there. And I don't know if we've got Alicia Wainwright, Amanda Crew. I think it has to be one of those 2. But she was really good. So yeah, I would say if you want to sit down and watch something really easy, it's not going to be earth-shattering, it's not going to show you anything you haven't seen before, it's worth a watch. It ends a bit abruptly. It's another thing that a lot of movies seem to be doing nowadays, but there's some nice little moments of gore in there. Yeah, I would recommend. I think it's not too bad, although in saying that, other people have scored, let me see, on IMDb. I remember having a look and thought, oh dear. So you've got everything from a 1. Oh, there's Dino's giving it a 3. I gave it a 2.5 because I couldn't sort of put it alongside. I think, what else did I give a 3? I gave Bug a 3. And I don't think it's quite to that quality, but you could watch a lot worse. So yeah, that is what I've watched this week. I think it's about 8 or 9 movies there. I don't think I'm watching any series at the minute. I need to start the Vikings series because Vikings Valhalla is on Netflix and I want to watch it, but I realise that's a sequel and I want to watch the start first. So that's it. This week I really want to see, I'm not going to get them all seen, I want to see A Man Called Otto. I want to see Plane. To my knowledge, they're both still on at the cinema. Next weekend, Knock at the Cabin opens, which I'm definitely going to see. I'm actually quite pleased to see it's a 12A, which means we can go on Saturday. I can bring Isaac. And one that's really frustrating me, The Whale, which is like my most anticipated movie of the year so far. I can't find listings for that anywhere here. I don't know if maybe they don't know if they're getting it yet and they're going to release it like nearer the time, but it's meant to come out at the same time as Knock on the Cabin. But Knock on the Cabin's like listed, but The Whale isn't, so I'm getting a bit twitchy that we're not going to get The Whale locally and I'm going to have to go to Belfast to see it. But yeah, that's what's happened at the moment, guys. Let me know any of your thoughts about anything below, if there's anything you think I should watch. Given that I've now seen Your Name and really enjoyed it, is there any other of these kind of movies that you would recommend for me to check out? I shall catch up with you guys next week for another weekly watches. Over and out from Lisa Loves.